Well, hey guys, hi, this is Brent Abel here, goldballhunting.com. I want to say .yeah, but it's a great ad. I say, oh, it's some travel thing. It goes, booking.yeah. Maybe you should look for that domain. Anyway, guys, thanks for hanging out with us today. Another episode of the Gold Ball Hunting Podcast. I am Brent Abel. That dude over there is Jeff Jacklich. And we're today going to talk about how to get more accurate with your forehand ground stroke. And we got three things that we want to kind of work through with you on this. And before we get into thing one, is just a quick reminder that Jeff and I are offering a free 15-minute coaching call. It's private, and it's just three of us. We just get on the phone, and all we're asking you to bring that one thing in your game right now that you just got to get figured out. Because if you don't, there's no opportunity to start getting the result you want. But you got to bring one thing, right? And 15 minutes may not sound like a lot, but we can actually get quite a bit done in terms of really kind of unpacking what that thing is that you need to fix. And Jeff and I want to set you on the path to start getting that result. Go over to goldballhunting.com, drop in a first name and email address, click the button. You'll get access to our online calendar scheduler. If you're already on our email list, every email we send out has got a link to be able to sign up for that free coaching call. So, Jeff, today I want to talk about topspin. It doesn't even have to be topspin. It could be a slice forehand, whatever it is. It's a ground stroke, and how to become more accurate. And part one is to start thinking about bigger targets. We hear this a lot, right? We hear the great Paul Annacone, who's kind of the one who I think on Tennis Channel sort of came up with this term bigger targets and kind of put that into everyone's mind. But man, it's like a gold ball nugget of coaching.
Right.
And so bigger targets, what does that mean to you specifically for accuracy with your forehand?
First let's get on the word target. So let's not confuse the word target implies location. Okay. And that location is within a direction, but I think a lot of players stop at direction, meaning I'm going to hit my forehand cross court. Okay. So that's the first, okay, great. Cross court is a direction and it's a thought process, but that's not a location cross court. And that becomes unbelievably important because your location helps determine pace, spin, height over the net, and what it is you're trying to get done here, right? And so those qualities are harder to, let's say, narrow down if we don't have a target that we're actually trying to hit the ball to. So for me, that's why having a bigger target then gives me margin if I'm not quite as accurate as I'd hope to be.
Yeah, so, that's right.
I mean, I love looking like a genius when I've been aiming in the middle of the deuce quadrant and I'm off by 5 feet and the ball skids 2 inches inside the line for a winner. I'm a genius. I walk to the next point like all day long I can hit that.
That's right.
But it happened because my target initially was this great big target the middle of the deuce quadrant. And you know what? I got a little anxious and I got ahead of it a little bit. But thank goodness that my target was safe, and allowed me to swing free and came up with the goods, So anyway, that's...
No, and my feeling here initially as we go through each of these three parts is that number one, to become more accurate, think less about stroke technique. Think less about how do I manufacture this forehand. That will not make you more accurate. What makes you more accurate is what Jeff just said about bigger targets, which to me is a couple things. Number one is don't set the cone or the little can if you're practicing cross courts. And I don't have a problem with this. I mean, I think we should all get out there and practice some cross court, but it shouldn't be a 45-minute mindless.
Right.
Let's see if I can learn how to hit a cross court winner. But it should be more, bring your targets into, first of all, a spot above the top of the net. right? Make it safe so that, just like Jeff said, if your target's this high above the top of the net where you're just ripping the ball, guess what happens if you're off by an inch? Uh-oh, you got a problem, right?
See ya.
So we got to get a bigger target. Now, a bigger target could mean nothing more than just simply adjusting, just in your mind, adjusting the height over the top of the net and not being concerned with hitting the ball deep. The second target would be, as I just said, would be the middle of that quadrant over there, right? We divide the court up into 4 quadrants. Well, if I'm going cross court, I'm doing more than just thinking cross court. I'm actually going for a spot over the top of the net that equates to where it lands in the middle of that quadrant. And like you just said, hey, if I hit the ball past that middle, I'm okay. If I'm a hair late, well, it just goes right up the middle. I'm okay.
Right.
If I go a little bit early, all right, I'm still inside. But if your target's like this thing that's 6 inches inside the baseline and 2 inches inside the sideline, if you don't hit that thing perfectly every time, you're screwed.
Right.
So to me, that's kind of thing one. Think less about stroke technique and start thinking about what's the height you want over the top of the net so that it will, and I'm not talking about pushing it. I'm not talking about just, let's just bunt the thing.
No.
Let's give the ball a ride, a safe height above the top of the net where it's going to land in the middle of the quadrant. And believe me, 99.9% of the shots I hit are unintentional opportunities.
Right. Right.
Have I ever hit a ball exactly where I want it to go? I don't think so. So, all right, guys. So before we go into part 2, just another quick reminder, the 15-minute free coaching call Jeff and I have got for you. Just got to bring that one thing in your game you're not figuring out, and we're going to help you get in a path so that you get the result you want. Just go over to goldballhunting.com, drop in a first name and email address, and you can cherry pick a date and time that works best for you. So, Jeff, part 2 is a mindset shift, huge mindset shift, so that you become more accurate. And, more accurate really means just consistency, right? That you're not giving away free points. Well, one of the ways that we are not accurate and that we give away points is this whole thing that you've been harping on ever since episode number 1, which is let them touch the ball.
Right. Crazy idea.
Well, I mean, so, and it sounds, it sounds okay, but it's a huge mindset shift.
Yeah.
How do you help someone go from, God, I don't want them to touch it. I want to hit a winner over there with my forehand, so I better go closer to the net. I better get that target out wide. I don't want them to touch it because I know then if they don't touch it, I might win the point. But you're telling me let them touch the ball. Why?
Yeah. Why? God. Because, they're human too.
They're not a robot. You mean it's not the ball machine over there?
Not the ball machine.
Okay.
The other, I'd say, kind of blind spot is that the guy or gal across the net does not have an equal parts full skill set. It's kind of an assumption sometimes. We play matches and we kind of just assume this person across the net has all the shots.
Has everything, yeah.
Not so. And that's true all the way up to the very top. A la Fed. And so the idea is that, if I pick a safer target, as we've talked about in the first part, I can start to really allow my swing freedom to I can let it out. My swing freedom increases. I can start to feel more confident about hitting a bigger ball because it's actually landing in. Right? There's a concept, right? I can't always equate hitting a big forehand or hitting a big topspin backhand with hitting it close to the line.
Right.
It's so I'm going to build confidence. I'm going to build match confidence. I'm going to build stroke confidence when I start to see my ball land in more often. And so that safer target allows me that freedom to go ahead and start to move the meter like, I like to have, my power and my control, like to have them living in the same neighborhood, being, working in harmony together. And then when I start to push the power up, this starts to shake a little bit. It starts to waver. The control starts to, and so where is that point where the risk and the reward is still there until the bottom drops out, where now I've gone over the edge? But I can help bridge this gap where control starts to stay with me a little longer as I increase pace if I pick that safer target. So that's the logic there.
Yeah. Well, and I think what happens is players don't trust that they can consistently hit the ball to a bigger target. And once you make this mindset shift, being able to, number one, well, bigger targets means I'll be more accurate, I'll be more consistent. And then when you go into, well, it's okay if they touch the ball over there. And the reason it's okay if they touch the ball is that they're eventually going to either miss or they're going to give you a fat, juicy opportunity that you can then take charge of.
Right.
To think that the only way you can win a point with a forehand is to hit a winner is the reason that you're not accurate. And is the reason that your forehand, maybe in practice, in drills, or maybe off the ball machine, is like goal ball central. But when you get into the match, all of a sudden, you now have an opponent over there that is got some say in what's about to happen. Yeah.
Right.
And so that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. But so I think that's good. It's really, you got to make that mindset shift. And I think once you do that, then what happens is, and again, we're not talking about stroke technique, but what happens is you take more time to be able to play the shot that you want to the higher target over the top of the net, have it land where you want it over there, but you take more time. You don't rush it. Even if you've got the guy, let's say that you're hitting a ball cross court, forehand cross court, even if you've just had them in the other side of the court and you see them scrambling back, lots of times what happens is you go, hey man, I got this opening, I got to go over there, I got to go right now, I just missed the forehand.
I got to hurry up and get it over there.
I got to do that. And that's
kiss of death.
It's the kiss of death right there. So, let's talk about part 3. And part 3 is not really stroke technique, but it is something that you want to think about. Before we get into that, is just a quick reminder, guys. Jeff and I got a 15-minute free, no charge, on the house, private coaching call. We want to offer you. We want to help you. Maybe it's forehand, maybe it's something else, but we want to help you solve the riddle to whatever that one thing in your game is right now that you're not quite figuring out. Just go over to goldballhunting.com, drop in a first name and email address, and you'll get access to the online calendar scheduler. You actually get to pick a date and time that works best for you, and 3 of us will get on that private, no charge call. So Jeff, part 3 of this forehand accuracy, getting more accurate, I just mentioned that you take more time. You take more time when you do 2 things, the first 2 things, which is bigger targets, and it's okay to let them hit the ball. Is that you take more time to execute the swing, right? You don't rush it. You're not panicky with it. But another element is that you've got to create the right spatial distance away from the path of the incoming ball. Obviously, we do that with our feet, and so what is spacing? How do you think of spacing when you're in a match, and the guys you've now hit 2 cross court forehands, and now here comes another one, or maybe two balls right up the middle. Here comes a third one. In terms of spacing, what do you think about?
I'm in the the wisdom of the shampoo bottle. Lather, rinse, repeat.
The shampoo bottle wisdom. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And that is, I've just hit 2 really good balls, right? They're like, maybe it's my standard rally ball with a little extra pepper on it, right? But nothing crazy off the charts. Feeling good. You know what? Let's do it again. Let's not hit the third ball better. I think it's a huge blind spot for our players out there too, is that they get 2 balls in, maybe 3 balls in, and they start to get a little antsy. And so now all of a sudden the mindset says, I got to go bigger. And you're receiving a ball that's really not requiring you to do anything special with it. It's just, you're just staying in the flow. And so I use that little analogy, lather, rinse, repeat.
Right.
If you're hitting a really solid ball, continue.
Yeah.
Don't hit the next one better. Continue with what you're doing and let the other gal look for the exit first. And you just stay the course.
Yeah.
It's okay to hit 4 balls.
Yeah. Well, look, I totally agree that there's no question that, if you've got bigger targets and if you're allowing them to touch the ball, you might believe in that for the first one.
Right.
But it could be the second one comes back and you go, well, I believe in big targets, but I'm not so sure I believe in letting them touch the ball.
Right.
And all right, so now we've just taken the potential of accuracy way down, right? So you got to be able to embrace thing 1 and thing 2, part 1 and part 2,
right,
for as long as it takes. And what I mean by spacing is that spatial distance, right, that we got to create with our feet. So to me, if whether the ball coming back, the third ball, the fourth ball, whatever is, if it's not a fat opportunity, or if it's a fat opportunity, or if it's a neutral opportunity, or if it's a defensive situation, either one of those 3 things, you have to put your body in relation to the incoming ball spatially so that the stroke technique can be as clean as possible.
Yeah.
And Jeff, your spacing for your forehand is different than mine. Mine is different than whoever is listening to me right now.
Right.
And the only way that you can discover what your unique spacing is to get out there and hit enough tennis balls to where you're not thinking about, well, gee, the result was I hit a really good ball. No, start thinking about, that one felt really nice. How far was my distance away from the ball? Where was the contact point? Let me see on the next ball if I can just replicate that spacing
feeling.
And the feeling.
Yeah.
And so, and I see it a lot. I mean, I see it a lot in matches where, and I've done the same thing too, is now all of a sudden you've hit the third ball and it's yielded this really fat, chubby opportunity. It's a short ball. And you go running up to the ball and all of a sudden you go, oh God, it's right here.
Right.
And now all of a sudden
you smother it. You smother it, right?
That's right. It's no longer a fat, chubby opportunity. It's a complete butcher job. So whether it's an offensive opportunity, it's a neutral or defense, first thing initially is you got to create spacing. You can't create spacing at the very last nanosecond.
No, you got to bring your forehand or bring your backhand to the party. Don't run up to the ball and then try to arrange the party. Bring your forehand with you.
Oh, I see. So
whatever that framework is, whatever that prep is,
right,
you got to bring that with you.
Yeah.
And that's how you're going to discover, your spacing, your consistent spacing. Is your preparation consistent? Now you have an opportunity to get consistent spacing, because your feet will then be working with that idea. So
guys, those 3 things will help you get way more accurate with your forehand. Number 1 will be bigger targets. Number 2 will be let them touch the ball, even if it's the 5th forehand in a row that you've hit in the point. And
scary.
I know. And the third thing, of course, is what we just talked about, is spacing. You got to have that spatial distance consistently to stay accurate. So guys, again, a final reminder, 15-minute coaching call with me and Jeff. It's private. It is free, and all you got to do to jump on that call, you can schedule it at your convenience. Goldballhunting.com, first name, email, address, and click the button. If you're already on our email list, you're going to find a link in any email you get from us that will take you to that online calendar. Scheduler Jeff, what do we want fine folks to do right now?
We'd love them to like us, share us, please subscribe.
Yes.
Let us know what you think down below if you're watching us on YouTube here. If you're on Stitcher or iTunes, rate us and review. Love to hear from you.
Awesome. Awesome. Guys, get out there today, right? Let's get more accurate with that forehand. Help someone else have a spectacular day. Jeff, let's do this again tomorrow.
Can't wait.